Welcome everybody, from Master Sleuths to Junior Detectives, and thanks for accepting my invitation to the investigation of Murders at Karlov Manor. The case before us, which cards are best for cEDH, so sharpen them pencils because we are going to analyze the clues, the crime scene, and more. It's almost like I'm Denzel Washington and you all are my Angelina Jolie in The Bone Collector, in a way. So let's begin as we demand answers right off the bat. For 1 and a red instant as an additional cost, discard a card or sacrifice an artifact to draw 2 cards. I mean, we all know a thrilling possibility when we see it, but is this what we needed to push this type of card forward? Or are there always better options? As with most murders, time is not on our side. Even if the future is bright from a crime novelist standpoint, like the early Bone Collector example I did, for 2 and a red, it's a Goblin Bard, 1/3 with, whenever you sacrifice an artifact, it gets a +1/+1 counter and adds a red mana. This piece of evidence can tell us a great lot about the chief suspect, Dockside Extortionist. And we all know goblins always work in pairs. But are we reaching for straws, or is there something deeper beneath the skin? For those that believe in a higher power might want to look beyond with Bergie to make a complete match in lower colored decks, but maybe even the famous Blue Farm south of Piccadilly Street might find something in the Bard's notes. A key witness to our case, however, has vanished like the Hound of Baskervilles, and all we can do is hope for a safe return of Mastermind Plum. But is he only a witness? Or is there a sinister side to his 2 and a black human wizard 2/2? I mean, whenever he felt he needed to attack, he exiles 1 target card from a graveyard. If an artifact was a target, he creates a treasure. And whenever you cast a spell, if mana of a treasure was spent to cast that spell, you draw a card and lose a life. Is there something deeper to the mystery and to these sanguine arts? Or is it just smoke and mirrors? My gut tells me that Plum is not the type to lead the pack, but rather motivate from within, pull the strings, see the deeper core. Maybe with a pair like Timna Malcolm or Malcolm Vile, where even the finisher of private proportions won't hold us back or do us harm. I did come across the legends of a binder of wills from a different plane that might seek a helpful hand like Plum's to her dark service. But that is all superstition at this point, so let's get back to the facts. Exhibit number 13, the Ransack Lab. A new puzzling piece in this larger case for 2 and a blue enchantment case. First, it makes all your instances and sorceries cheaper by 1. That is a permanent effect that it is. However, to solve such a case, as an example, we have to cast 4 more instances or sorcery spells, but before we get to the final step, detectives, remember, a case such as this only gets solved at the beginning of your end step. Remember that as we tread forward, a case such as this, if has been solved, will benefit you and your experience in the future. For example, whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, draw a card. But be wary, with great power comes great responsibility. Some have lost their thumbs trying to crack cases, and others who followed in their footsteps did not fare much better. Like in exhibit number 5, the stashed skeleton. Poor bastard and his little toy. It all begins with a simple talk, cause for 1 and a black, you get a suspected 2/1 skeleton creature token. It gets suspected because, you know, that's what the thing does, which means it cannot block and has menace. Yes, we have had a few cases of people seeing things, feeling like they are being watched or haunted, only for the case to be solved quite easy when no skeletons are found, since they may be just in your head the whole time. Once such a case has been solved, a boon will always be available to you during your turn, like this. For 2 mana, you get to sacrifice Disenchantment and search for a card, only as a sorcery. Now, abilities are always way harder to interact with, and even if this is a little worse than the famous case of the Wishclaw Talisman, I am sure many that follow the blind justice of Detective Timna and her various partners can attest that sometimes suspected skeletons can also be useful. Remember, for those new around, always wait for the right time to assemble the players. This rare enchantment for 1 and a white lets you look at the top card of your library at any time, and once each turn, you may cast a creature with power 2 or less from the top of your library. With brilliant top deck tutors and some flashy shenanigans, this can be a very powerful ace in your arsenal. Remember that the element of surprise is always on your side, until the moment you are ready to pounce. With that in mind, let's not forget to always use the chants for informants. I will refer to mine with its street name, Dalney, a really good streetwise lookout for 2 and a white with creatures you control with power 2 or less can be blocked with power 3 or greater. We have seen Detective Timnah get into tough places through way bigger fish with the help of Dalney. And also as a bonus, if an ability of a creature you control with power 2 or less triggers, this ability triggers an additional time. Now, the list is very long on what everything this can double, and I have to agree with another senior detective, namely Mons. Cause, as Detective Mons put it, this may be the best thing coming out of Murders of Karlov Manor for cEDH for the 99 or 98. Now, yesterday as I was going through the case files in our local pub, someone tried to slip me a spiked drink, but they failed, so be very careful as you pick your poison during a hard investigation. Sometimes for green you get a sorcery with modes like each opponent sacrifices an artifact, sacrifices an enchantment, or a creature with flying. But not all leads are leads. Sometimes they're red herrings. Sometimes we can't see through the rose petals before our eyes. Trust me, no matter how hard-boiled you are or how on the edge you are, you can always slip up. As with any case, you will always find the right way to get into places is to interrogate people. Sometimes the easiest way to get in is right through the front door. Well, that is until a doorkeeper thrall shows up suddenly for 1 and a white, a 1/2 flash flying thrall with artifacts and creatures entering the battlefield don't cause abilities to trigger. Remember that precious ring you got with all them fancy words? It can protect you from him and your fancy ways to extort or oracle around. The thrall just laughs. So be on the lookout. You don't want to be under his thumb. Looking at all the evidence, I am conflicted. We may have more than one perpetrator. The typical Scream-esque surprise. Trouble does love to come in pairs also. Like this enchantment for 2 and a white. If an opponent would begin an extra turn, that player skips that turn instead. Whenever an opponent attacks you with 2 or more creatures, draws their second card each turn or casts their second spell each turn, you draw a card. As with all famous previous cases, you can always find copycats. And oh boy, this is a real piece of work, like a crazy amalgamation. But is this what we really needed to get ahead, or will such a pair only lead us astray and not in the path of cracking a case? More evidence in this is needed. But in a world full of great and brilliant detectives to sift through brutal and horrible crime scenes, some legends hold stronger than others, like the tale of the final world phantom, a 2 and a blue spirit detective with flash and flying, and the ability that during each of your opponent's end step you may cast spells as though they had flash. It's also a 1/4. Now, this is no born upon a whim to go during your own turn or nowhere near the power of the original forbidden case of flash. But it is quite interesting and maybe something to get us out of the mid-range hell that we are supposedly in. But maybe, just maybe, some cases are not meant to be solved so easily. But enough from me. What about you all? You heard me ramble on and on, but is there some evidence that I have missed? Have you found a lead or a key witness? Are you on the trail of the suspect? Leave your notes and admirations down in the comment section below, and together we shall tear the veil off and reveal everything in due time.